Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope everyone out there is doing absolutely fantastic and that you're all having a great day. I have a question for you. How much money would you like to have by the end of this year? How much do you think the cryptocurrency market is going to go up? And what would be an acceptable amount of money for you to have by the very end of the year? Everyone always has a different number. Some people say $500,000. Some people say 1.2 million. I've seen some people say they want $30 million before. It's a very different number for every single person. This one is a little bit different. This is you'll see. There has always been a question in the cryptocurrency space as to where prices are going to go. That's nothing new at all. This one, however, completely takes the cake, like the whole cake. It walked up to the table, picked up the cake, and ran away, laughing as it ate it. So the news we've gotten recently about 2026 until 2030 has been more than interesting. That's a nice word for it. Adoption of crypto. No. Money moving into crypto next year is expected to triple. Prices are expected to nearly quadruple. That's what we've been hearing, constantly getting new prices, the idea of the cycle, etc., etc. Now, I personally like to think forward when I invest. So I have like 5 to 10 year goals. I don't know if we've ever gone over that before. I give myself a 5-year goal, and then I extend it a little bit further to say, like, this is what I would like to have after the end of a 10-year period. So my goals are normally, I would like to purchase a property every year so that at some point I have 10 properties, just a random, throwing it out there. Or I have X amount of art and I would like to buy more prints so that eventually I have one of my actual goals, I'll tell you, is to have around, I think 2,000 or 3,000 prints from varying artists. I like collecting prints. They're easy to store. And many of them tend to have a rise in value over the course of a decade that equates to roughly around 800, 900, or 1,000 per print. That's just the metrics that I've actually been going for. I want to have a gigantic art thing. So, yeah. However, I understand looking towards the future and, what you want to accomplish. But I think there is a limit just because of... And also, no. I'm actually going to take that one back, because if I can adjust things correctly, I think this actually makes a little bit more sense than I think we want to actually admit. Apparently, listen. So we've been to 2026, we've been to 2030. The discussion is now the year 2100. I know it's a bit intense, but bear with me, and I think I'll be able to explain a little bit as to why it makes more sense than we probably imagine it could. Global demographic shifts and rising wealth could power cryptocurrency adoption and asset demand well into the next century. Demand for global assets, including cryptocurrencies, is expected to be driven by an aging global population and increased productivity worldwide, resulting in an older population with more capital to invest. I need just a little smidge before we continue on. What's actually happening is is that demand for assets is rapidly increasing, but amongst a very small portion of people on the planet. And it's people who already have assets. People who have assets look at their assets and they see the value of them rising. And they understand, if I have one of them and this doubled in price, what happens if I have four of them? There's a big rush right now, it's a way of saying it, amongst the wealthy on the planet to accumulate as many assets as they possibly can. They've been doing this for so long that they've actually almost kind of closed the circle. So remember we were talking about corporate landlords and the idea of them like by 2040, 2040, corporate landlords are estimated to have, I think it's 85 or 90% of all real estate within the United States. And I mean, other countries will be just as bad, but we focus on the US for this topic of discussion because the same exact thing is happening across Europe. It's happening in Africa. It's happening everywhere. Like, you know, rich people are consolidating their wealth and growing their wealth at a rapid pace. The idea being, if you own all the land, if you own all the real estate, for those of you wondering, why not 100%? Well, basically, the others would be like, for those of you who are owning homes, you would see the trend and simply not sell and say, no, we have to keep this property for ourselves. So it's basically going to be corporate landowners and smaller owners who have one or two properties to themselves. If you own everything, you can dictate the rent. You can dictate how much things are whenever you literally so feel. That increases with the idea of tokenization. For those of you who you couldn't have missed that discussion that we've been having for a while. If you can put all assets on chain, the valuations of them or even the ownership of, you then would allow for people to be able to capitalize on like fractionalized ownership of other types of assets or things that they normally wouldn't be able to have access to. It's not that the world at large is looking for more assets. It's mainly investors. It's those who can already afford. It's those who aren't renting. It's those who own land. It's those who own homes. They're rapidly trying to get all of it. That's not a joke. They're literally trying to buy as much as they possibly can. And it's the entire spectrum. It's through gold, it's through stocks, it's through real estate, it's crypto, anything you could possibly imagine. When they say the actual aging population, this also includes us as we are still aging. They found that the actual demand for crypto resides roughly within people from their early 20s into their late 30s. That tends to be the majority of the demographic, not the entirety, but the majority of. As we get older and we are the holders of said crypto, we would then fuel the demand for more assets. Let's say you have, you bought some cryptocurrency 10 years ago, you put 1,000 into it. Awesome, amazing. In 2025, you look at your portfolio, you have $1.7 million. Amazing. You decide 700,000 is going to go into 3 properties. You want to buy some land and you want to buy some other form of an investment. Amazing. That 1 million by 2035 is around 12.5 million, give or take a couple of cents. You go, okay, cool. I want to buy more assets. You've always thought gold was pretty. You decide to buy $200,000 worth of gold. Why not? I want to have it just as a hedge. You decide to buy more homes. You decide to buy more things. As the wealth continues rising for people holding assets, these are the people who are going to continue the demand for cryptocurrencies and assets. You understand now? Usually, sometimes these things are worded as everyday normal people will then go, cool, I never wanted to invest before. Let me invest now. No, it's the people who have assets, who understand the wealth that can be created from them. This then fuels their desire to own more assets, to own more homes. If you see at some point, and this is typically how it goes, if you have a stock and the stock goes from $1.25 to 114, on the way up, you see that it's rising, you start to buy more. If Bitcoin goes from 1,000 to 30,000, many people start buying more as they see the valuation going up, and they go, when it hits 30, it can probably hit 60. It's this level of accumulation that will rapidly continue, mainly amongst those who already have the wealth. I told you all before, there's also a really weird misconception. I saw something before, and it's weird. People were discussing how, rising costs. And I watched this video, and it was one of these people showing like real estate on YouTube. You've seen the videos before. And they were, this is a $20 million home. And the comment section was like, who's buying this? Who can afford this place? It's people who already have assets. It's people who've been buying, who've been accumulating, who have huge amounts of wealth because they've been doing this for the last 10 to 15 years. These are the buyers. Rich people have their own economies to themselves. This is what people also don't get. When you see even like, and I dare air quote here, like luxury, like clothing. It's mainly, so there's two categories, for those of you who don't know, of people who buy Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Prada and things like that. It's either poor people or rich people. This isn't a joke. These are the actual demographics. These companies know that when you have not a lot, usually this fuels a demand for people wanting to buy nice luxury things to show other people that they have it, even when they don't. This is a huge portion of the actual buyers of luxury items. The other side are people who make 20, 30, 40, 50,000 passively from their investments. These are the people who also buy. So a lot of times you'll see things, you must have seen them. People always ask like, who can buy this? Who can afford this? How can people, No, rich people have their own economy within themselves. There's more and more millionaires all the time. Every single day, there's more and more new millionaires. And this number is expected to completely, increase further as there are a group of people. Like, it's very similar. So, sorry if I'm speaking so fast. There are a group of people who realize what's going on, and they're also trying to get there. It's me, it's you. It's years ago, us hearing about crypto, getting interested, getting into the market. You've seen how much money you've made from this market after the last few years. You've seen, put in $300. That coin, and that portfolio is now worth $116,000. It takes time, but you do get there. So there are other people who are in this system. That's why I keep saying, realize how early you are in this market. Because the other interesting part about all of this has to do with how assets grow when inflation rises. You might have had 35,000 in your crypto portfolio. You now have 115. Remember how we keep talking about people are expecting Bitcoin's price to 10x. Ethereum, 20x over the course of the next 10 to 15 years. XRP, going to do a 30x, $120 over the course of however long. What happens to your portfolio in that time? You also then enter into the millionaire club. You become part of this group of people who have rising wealth because of cryptocurrency and asset accumulation. And you go, I need to spread to other assets. The thing we were talking about with tokenization, this is a huge thing. This isn't some fly-by-night thing. I mentioned in a couple of videos, you have to understand, these are NFTs. They're tokens that are non-fungible. You can tell the difference between that NFT that is the valuation of a $22 million home and that NFT that is a bicycle. That's how NFTs actually work on chain. The difference is, now here we go. Remember I told you the entire idea about wealth accumulation and the idea of like perpetual wealth accumulation. This is what's going to happen. This isn't a dream. This isn't 20 years away. This is what they're working on right now. This is why all these banks are talking about tokenizing their assets, tokenizing real estate, tokenizing their stocks, tokenizing securities, tokenizing these different forms of wealth. Buddy boy, in the next 2 years, It is going to be commonplace for you to have 0.07 Bitcoin. You have 3 Ether. You have 2,000 XRP. You're going to be able to stake all of these and make passive income from them. We've seen the stories. We know that it's going to happen. The money that you're making from that because of tokenization, you are going to be able to automatically daily allocate that money into other assets. Do you understand what I'm saying? The money that you make from all these coins for staking, for those of you who don't know, most staking in crypto, you accumulate daily rewards. Let's say, random number, let's say you're making $100 daily from your stake, it's a random number, daily from your staking rewards. You are going to be able to tell the bot, the AI, whatever letters you want to use there, every time I make money from these coins, use it to buy a fraction of some tokenized asset. It goes, okay, cool. We're going to buy you 3 stocks here, and we're going to buy you a portion of this real estate. You do that, like, it's continual. It happens every 24 hours. You forget about it. You go about your day. You're hanging out with your friends. You go play some sports. You're gone for weeks, not even realizing what's going on. You open your phone, you check your Binance app, you check your Coinbase, and you see on your portfolio, you now own thousands of extra dollars worth of assets. Even crazier, the assets that you've accumulated, you can make sure and tick only accumulate assets that are also creating some kind of money. So when you talk about tokenizing stocks and stuff like that, and how the stock exchanges, remember how the stock exchanges all told us they're trying to go 24/7. They're tokenizing their stocks on chains. This will also allow the yield and dividends from these stocks to also in turn become daily. It changes the idea of what finance is. We're not in the 1910s anymore. Things don't have to go slow. All the things that you accumulated, the money that you're making passively every single day, you keep telling the algorithm, just buy more, buy whatever you can, buy fragments of art, buy fragments of this, buy fragments in gold, buy fragments. I even want $30 worth of stable coins every single day because they're giving me a 7% return. Who do you think this benefits? This benefits the people with assets. The way that this is all moving, and these people are talking about into the next century, the year 2100. We are in 2025. If that's the world that we're looking at in 2027, by 2035, how rich are you? How many assets do you have on chain? How much fractional real estate do you own that's also paying you as people are paying rent? It's insane to think about. This is the way that things are moving. So I'm always like, you're early in this market. I wish we had billions of other people who would realize what's going on. This dynamic will drive asset demand until the year 2100. According to the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, they said for asset demand, population aging means that the upward trend from recent decades will continue. I guess someone found this late. It says this is a report from the Fed on the 25th of August. I mean, it does happen every now and again. We have situations where we hear that this company bought crypto. If you weren't here last year, we had a lot of people were looking through SEC filings, and they found like, hey, that central bank actually bought some Bitcoin and they bought some Bitcoin ETFs, but people found out 6 months later. It happens every now and again, sure. They said, using demographic projections to extend our historical analysis, we project that aging will raise asset demand by an additional 200% of GDP. Geez Louise, between 2024 and the year 2100. You know what's also going to raise asset demand? Inflation. When you start seeing the stuff you wanted to buy, you can't buy anymore because it's too expensive. This is going to fuel huge amounts of money into assets. Did you think it was random that hundreds of companies announced they were buying Bitcoin? We're getting away from fiat. We're buying tons of Bitcoin. We're buying tons of Ether. We're buying huge amounts of XRP. Yeah, we've decided as a company, we're going to just buy up every single home in America. I don't know what else you want. Once again, it's happening everywhere. I don't know if you saw as well. I think it was Blackstone. I want to say Blackstone is one of the companies this year who announced like how much real estate that they want in the UK. Some other company was like, yeah, we plan on purchasing 4,000 homes. Another one said 15,000. I think it was Blackstone who was like, yeah, we want 100,000 homes within the next couple of years in the UK. They will own everything. Remember, I will never, ever tell you what to do with your money. But gosh darn it, if you at some point have the chance to buy a home, to buy a studio apartment to rent out, you might want to look into that. You might want to make sure that you hold a piece of that pie, because land and home ownership are already nearly unobtainable for 99% of the population. What do you think is going to happen when these people own everything? Imagine for a second you own a company, or like you're part of one of these companies. You guys own all the real estate. You dictate the prices. How much real estate do you plan on selling? The answer is none, just in case you didn't get it. Because that real estate, you pass on to your kids. They pass it on to their kids. Yeah, we have you ever seen those things where these like really rich families, this family's been in our home for, 150, 300 years. That's where we're headed, right? Remember I told you, I've seen so many of these videos. There was one where this woman, she was talking about like how these companies buy. They buy it all cash, sight unseen, no need to do any checks. But she was saying the craziest part, the other thing here is that these companies also, they're in contact with the new development people. So you sit there and you go, well, maybe I can buy some new development. She said they know these people. They're in contact with them as well. So they tell them, hey, we know that you have a new development coming up with 110 apartments. We're going to purchase 80 of them. Cash up front. Cool, they're done in 2 years. Sounds absolutely fantastic. Another company says, how many are left? 30. Cool, like we'll buy them. They have first dibs. The way that things kind of work now, if you have a new development, they'll slowly walk you through it. Yeah, we have these homes and this is going to be built. If you have to work with 110 individual buyers who want a mortgage for 30 years, these companies, they'll do it because it's the way that, things have always worked. But if you have two companies saying, yeah, we don't have to look at anything, like we trust you guys, cool, we'll buy the entire thing, we'll pay you tomorrow. Quick close. You need assets. You need them. This isn't the 1950s. It's not the 1960s. No, we can't just get by with hard work anymore. We can't, pick up a shovel. I hope this works. Okay. The government's going to support me with my 401k 4H79 and no. All that's over. Like it's actually done. The report added that this dynamic could imply a continued decline in real interest rates. Yeah, boosting demand for alternative investments such as Bitcoin. Remember, we were talking about that recently as well. If interest rates go down, it causes asset prices to rocket. It causes supermarket prices to go up. It causes home prices to go up. It causes diaper prices to go up. The people who benefit are the people who hold the assets. Yeah. While cryptocurrencies are still considered risky assets, growing regulatory clarity may lead the aging population to value Bitcoin as much as gold over the next 75 years. This is according to Gracie Chen, CEO of the crypto exchange BitGet. Do you want to hear something even crazier? And when I told you before, I said I think I'm understanding. So A, we are the aging population, as it were. Did you ever get a chance to look at that thing I was telling you about before called CRISPR? I know some of you know it. CRISPR. It is gene editing software. Scientists are now able to reverse aging in animals. It is expected before 2030, there will be something on the market that will allow everyday normal people to either freeze their... This is real. This isn't a joke. This is a real thing. Will allow people to be able to reverse their aging or freeze their aging wherever they actually are. Who do you think that benefits? Is it the person working 60 hours a week behind the counter? Or is it the person who's worth millions and who has cryptocurrencies that are making them money every single day? The world is changing so fast. And I had past tense friends before who I told about crypto, where things were... I'm not a genius, but just looking at the logic, where things were going to go, how prices were going to be, the same exact thing for real estate, same exact thing for art. And I remember finding out about CRISPR and telling people, and they were like, you're watching too many movies. I showed them news articles. No one wanted to listen. Scientists have already been able to like slightly do it. They did this for a couple people. They were able to like get rid of their wrinkles like on their face, like showing like the signs of like reversing of actual aging. Do you understand that within the next decade, we are going to see brand new millionaires made, and we're going to live in, like, imagine being perpetually rich forever. And by the year 2100, you still look like you're like 28 and a half years old. Google it. I'm telling you, it sounds crazy, but we've had this technology since 2000. It's just that scientists have basically figured out how to perfect it now, and they're figuring out how to market it. Yeah. I think the craziest part of all of this, for me, always is not only time, as I always say, but people who just don't pay attention to it. People who continue to believe that this isn't going to happen, or that won't take place, or crypto's not going to do this. And then prices go up, and then they have the same exact in 2028. Bitcoin's only at 1.3 million. It's going to go down at some point, and it's like, okay. And then it's just kind of this like weird skepticism that kind of continues forever. Rich people have their own economy. Rich people are going to live with automation. Rich people are going to not have to need workers when you can literally create your own money and continuously just buy up assets forever and just keep getting richer. Look into it. I'm telling you, it's very fascinating. I know it might be a bit shocking to a lot of people, but this is where we are. Welcome to the future. Yeah. So I think that's going to do it for this video. Definitely going to do it for this video. I sincerely hope that you all are listening. I sincerely hope that you all are having a great day. I sincerely hope that you all are investing and saving and putting money away and looking towards the future, because nobody's going to do it but you. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.